Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to sift through information, cut through the noise, and really get to those profound insights you're after. Today, we're plunging into something truly powerful and, well, frankly, haunting. It's Cormac McCarthy's The Road, which came out back in 2006. Now, if you've read it, you know the stark, unforgettable landscape we're about to walk through again. If not, well, get ready. This is a deep dive into a world that's been completely stripped bare. We're focusing on maybe one of the most primal bonds there is between a father and his young son, just trying to survive in this unimaginable post-apocalyptic reality.
Yeah, and our mission here really is to pull out the most crucial insights from this incredibly dark, really sparse but intensely moving story. We're going to be looking closely at the big themes of, survival, what it costs, the power of unconditional love, and just that sheer will, that need to keep going when everything, absolutely everything, seems lost. We're trying to understand what this novel tells us about humanity facing its ultimate test, what it means for us too.
Okay, so let's really try and paint that picture of the world McCarthy just drops us into, because it's absolutely desolate. Our sources really hammer this home. The Road shows us this bleak post-apocalyptic reality. It's after some kind of, well, unspecified catastrophe. We don't know exactly what, but it's wiped out civilization completely. Think forests just burned to ash, cities crumbled, gone, and this constant feeling of decay, it touches everything. It's like a world stuck perpetually in the shadow of its own end, no future visible.
It's more than desolate. It's fundamentally broken, isn't it?
Right.
McCarthy doesn't get bogged down in the how it happened. What is just overwhelming. Like you said, the sky, permanently gray.
Yeah.
Ash blocking everything. And this ash, it's described as finer than flour, falling constantly like snow, coating everything. The earth itself is barren, silent. One chilling detail sources point out is the total absence of life. No plants, no animals. Think about that for a second. No birds singing, no leaves rustling, nothing moving out there. This emptiness, this silence. It's not just scenery. It really drives home that feeling of isolation, the loss of community, the psychological weight of it all. Humanity itself, not just its structures, is right on the brink.
Right, and through this unbelievably grim wasteland, we follow these two figures, unnamed, just the father and the boy. They're walking relentlessly towards the coast. It's not like the coast promises anything specific. It's just a direction, south. And what's amazing is the journey isn't about a map or some clear goal. It's driven purely by the father's unwavering, almost desperate need to protect his child.
Such a primal drive.
Yeah, in the face of just nothingness.
And that determination, it's tested constantly by truly brutal realities. Their journey isn't just fighting the elements, the cold, the starvation. It's fighting against, well, the darkest parts of humanity. They keep running into these horrifying groups of survivors, the bad guys, as the boy calls them. And the grim fact, something the novel confronts head on, is that many have resorted to cannibalism, to extreme violence. So they're not just worried about finding food, they're worried about being hunted, about being captured, enslaved, eaten. It forces this incredibly difficult question on the reader, doesn't it? How do you hold on to morality, to decency, to being human, when all the rules are gone, law, order, just distant memories, when pure survival is the only thing driving people? It really pushes the characters and us, I think, to confront what we might do, what lines we'd cross to survive or to protect someone we love.
So in this world, stripped bare of comfort, beauty, safety, where society has just disintegrated, what's left? What can anyone possibly hold on to? Because despite all that horror, the emotional core, the real beating heart of this story is definitely that father-son relationship. Our sources all seem to emphasize this. It's defined by this intense, almost sacred, unconditional love, trust, sacrifice. That's what anchors the whole thing.
Exactly. Without that bond, the story, even with its powerful prose, it might just be unbearable. It's the one constant, the one spark in all that darkness. And the father, he's not just a physical protector, is he? He's also a teacher, a kind of moral compass, a shield against the worst of it. He teaches the boy practical skills. Sure, how to find scraps of food, how to hide, how to use their few precious bullets carefully. But just as importantly, maybe more so, he tries to instill moral values. He's constantly working to shield the boy from the full horror, to keep some fragment of the old world alive in him, to make sure the boy remains this symbol of innocence, of hope, of what little good is left. He keeps telling the boy, we're the good guys. You hear that refrain.
Right.
And it's not just a label. It's like a desperate mantra, a daily lesson in how to stay human.
That idea, being the good guys, that brings us to something really interesting, a phrase that's become almost synonymous with the book itself, this idea of carrying the fire. What exactly does that mean in this world?
Oh, carrying the fire. It's such a powerful metaphor, isn't it? And so central to why the book hits so hard. On one level, it symbolizes hope, decency, humanity itself flickering against overwhelming despair. But if you dig a bit deeper, it's about more than just a feeling. It's about active choices. It's not just about staying alive. It's about choosing to remain, as the boy keeps asking, the good guys. And that means making incredibly difficult moral choices all the time, minute by minute. Think about those moments, like when the father debates leaving that dying man by the road, but the boy insists, pushes him toward empathy. Or when the father finds that can of soda, a tiny relic of the past, and shares it with his son. A moment of warmth, of connection, even knowing every resource is precious, that sharing it might risk his own survival down the line. These small acts, these defenses of kindness, that's the fire.
So it's not just some abstract concept, it's a burden, almost, a lived reality. The father's constantly fighting not just the cannibals and the cold, but his own despair, his own hardening heart, trying to keep that flame alive for his son.
Absolutely. That tension, hope versus despair, it's relentless. The father struggles constantly to keep his own morality from eroding, to not give in to the brutal logic of survival that the bad guys follow, while at the same time, his absolute priority is his son's survival, above everything. And what's fascinating is how the novel just dives deep into how survival instincts get tested when there are no rules, when every single choice is life or death. Can you hold on to that fire, that essential goodness, when everything around you has literally turned to ash? And the son, in many ways, the son is the fire. He reminds the father what they're trying to preserve. He's the reason the fire's carried. In his own unwavering goodness, it actually helps keep the fire from going out in his father too, I think.
Yeah, I see that. And a huge part of why this story feels so visceral, why it gets under your skin, has to be McCarthy's writing style. It's so distinctive. Sources always point to that sparse, almost poetic prose, those fragmented sentences, the minimal dialogue. It feels integral to the whole experience. It's almost as stark as the real he's describing, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And it feels completely deliberate. You know, he famously leaves out quotation marks.
Right.
And that choice, it blurs the lines between what's spoken and what's thought. It's not just a stylistic tick. It pulls you right into the father's often fractured internal world. Every word, whether spoken or thought, feels immediate, like a raw thought, a quiet instruction, a desperate plea. It creates this sense of disorientation, mirroring the broken world and their isolation. The sentences are lean, skeletal almost, like the landscape. There's no flowery description, no long explanations, just sharp, impactful images that force you, the reader, to fill in the terrifying gaps.
So the language itself mirrors the desolation and the internal struggle. It's not just telling a story. The style is part of the experience.
Precisely. That minimalist prose, combined with really powerful, almost biblical symbolism, it just creates this unforgettable narrative. It reflects the emptiness, the despair of their world, making it haunting, yes, but also profoundly moving. And those rare moments of beauty or connection, they shine so much brighter because of the surrounding darkness. It's really a masterclass in how literary form can perfectly amplify the content. It draws you into their raw, vulnerable state so effectively.
Okay, it definitely sounds like a challenging read, but one that offers incredible rewards. So let's bring it back to you, our listener. What does all this mean for you? Why should you consider engaging with a story that's so stark, often so difficult, that strips away almost everything we usually rely on?
Well, The Road asks these huge, enduring questions, doesn't it? About what it means to be human, about the core of morality, about that sheer will to keep going when everything, every comfort, every certainty is just gone. It's a stark yes, but also deeply moving look at what being human means when everything external has been lost, when survival is the only goal. And yet, that choice to be good still exists, still matters. So if you're drawn to stories about survival, about deep moral questions that really cut to the bone, or maybe just deeply emotional journeys set in these kinds of dystopian worlds that make you question human nature, well, this book offers an incredibly profound experience. It really challenges you to think about what makes us human and what you yourself would fight to protect. It's not easy, definitely not an easy read, but I'd argue it's essential for understanding the depths and maybe the resilience of the human spirit.
So The Road. It emerges as this masterpiece. It takes us to a world stripped of everything, comfort, institutions, safety nets, everything we build around ourselves. And in that desolation, the love between a parent and child remains the last, flickering, but incredibly resilient beacon of light, a stark reminder maybe of what we hold dearest, what we'll fight for when everything else falls away.
Yeah. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. If carrying the fire represents that hope, that decency, that spark of humanity against all odds, consider this. What does it mean for you to carry the fire in your own life? Maybe not in an apocalypse, thankfully, but in the face of less dramatic but still real challenges, a difficult project, a personal struggle, times of uncertainty. What essential part of your humanity, what core value, what small act of kindness or resilience, what would you protect and carry forward above all else? Something to think about as you go about your day.